She's from Newark, New Jersey. She was the first in her family to go to college. She spent over 20 years on Wall Street as an investment banker and equity trader. She has been to 46 countries and all 50 states. And she did all that before she started the real work. In 2024, a friend asked her one question: what is your fee? And God gave her a room. Now she is building one of the most exclusive, highest impact networking platforms in the country. She is closing the racial wealth gap one room at a time. Her name is Nichole Harmon-Pointdujour. Live from Atlanta, Georgia, CEO Chick Podcast, Season 1. Let's go. Tell people how we met, because I always love just sharing with the audience how we came to know each other and follow each other on social media. First of all, social media is so powerful.
It is.
It really is. As a master connector yourself, do you let your ladies know it's important to be online? Are you an advocate?
Yeah, I am an advocate. So my community is co-ed.
Yeah, okay.
So it's men and women in the community, but I tell them, you have to tell your story online.
Yeah.
You have to talk more about your business, who you are, give away some tips. So I'm an advocate for social media and online. And that's how we met.
It is. And so long story short, I met Pastor Vincent and we were both speaking at the same event in Houston, and we just always kept in touch. And he saw in my stories I was coming to Atlanta, and then he was messaging me like, I'm gonna be in your city in Orlando. And we just start kikiing a little bit in DMs, and I'm like, I'm doing a podcast, I want one more guest. And he was like, I have the perfect person that could be a guest on your show. So shout out to Pastor Vincent. And happy 18th anniversary, right? Didn't he just have an 18th anniversary?
Sweet.
He is doing the most out here in the good way for the Lord. Like, what is going on at y'all church?
And it's crazy because I guess I'm selfish, because when my husband founded the church about 4 years ago, we're in the smaller church. Now it's like a mega church.
It is a mega church.
Pastor Campbell, don't forget this little people, because it's just growing so much. And I'm just so grateful to have him lead us. And he's just a fantastic pastor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you said, it's growing. It's an amazing church, and that's how we met. And my husband found that church for us about 4 years ago. He saw him online, and then we wound up going in person, and it's changed our life. We got baptized there, actually.
Oh, I love that. I really love that. Shout out to him, his amazing wife, and the work that they're doing there, and just ministering to the whole family. Like, I mean, everything is blossoming. I saw a farm coming and fresh produce, and I'm like, okay, brother.
Yeah, they have the babies all the way up to the senior citizens. He caters to everybody. And it's funny because part of my business, he poured into me so much in the business, and I don't know if you'll get into it later on or now, but.
Go for it.
Okay. So I was telling Pastor Campbell when I left Wall Street, I was like, I'm scared, I don't know. And he was like, I pray that you keep your same lifestyle and everything works out and you're operating your gifts. And what he said, which was last year, this when I left, was all true. And fun fact, one of my friends is Dr. Eric Thomas. And Pastor Campbell does E.T., the hip hop preacher, and Pastor Campbell was doing his Rocket Summit.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first people to invest in my business because I connect people. And he said, I need you to help me get some people for my conference. And I said, I don't really do conferences. I was like, last time I did one, E.T. asked me to help him get people for his conference. He was like, E.T., the hip hop preacher? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you know him? I was like, yeah, that's my friend. He's like, what? Oh, I'm getting him right now. I was like, well, he's expensive, but I use my relationship capital. I said, E.T., I have my pastor. He's doing a conference, helping out the community. Will you be able to speak at his thing? We don't have these high numbers that you have. We're a church, but can you do it for us? And he said, if it's for a church, I'm all in, Nichole. I connected them, and he did his first, he did the Rocket Conference last year, and he did it again this year.
I love it.
And then E.T., Pastor Campbell paid me for my connection services because that's a part of my business.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's one of the first people to invest
Come
in
on,
the business.
connection service.
Connection, right.
You know how many times we do that just for free? Like, shout out to some of the women that are trying to like navigate this new market, and they're like things they used to do for free. Sometimes you got to look at it and say,
Yeah.
You know, what is the fee?
What
is your fee?
And I talk about that in the book. I talk about that in the book because
Yes.
Yandy was the first person to ask me what my fee was.
Yeah, and we need to talk about this before we go into Yandy, because I want to unpack that a little bit. 20 years on Wall Street, though.
21 years.
Investment banking, equity trading, right? And very linear world, I would say. Like, you were in that space, and the whole time, though, you were doing something else, making that connections with people, making introductions, building rooms. Like, Wall Street actually taught you about connections, would you say? Or was it totally separate? Like,
Totally
it was
separate.
night and day?
Night and day.
Okay, so when you think of what's needed in Wall Street and closing those the equity gap, like, put it together for me. How do we get over here from there? Like,
that's an amazing question. So I tell people, you never know where your next opportunity come from. One connection could change your life. I got on Wall Street from my classmate from college. I went to Virginia Union University in Richmond, Virginia, and my classmate got an opportunity to work on Wall Street. And so when he got into this program, he reached back out and said, there's a girl at my college that was really smart. So I had a 3.8 in undergrad and a 4.0 with my MBA. And so he's like, the girl that's really smart, and he said, I want her to interview. They put me through the ringer. It was a million interviews. They only recruited from Ivy League, so everybody went to Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I went to Virginia Union, which was the HBCU, and this is back in early 2000s, so it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Right, so they really gonna give you a hard time.
They really give you a hard time, and I actually wanted the operation program, which is every 6 months you get to switch in different areas of the business. But they told me I was overqualified because I had trading floor experience. I worked at Wachovia Securities on the trading floor out of college while getting my MBA. So I had that experience, and then with the GPA, they wanted me to go into investment banking. I didn't know anything about investment banking, so I learned on the fly. And this was in 2008 when the market was crashing down.
Yeah, we went through it.
It went through it, and I would come to work and like half the floor would be gone because it was a tough time.
Yeah.
But I learned so much in the business that I started in the room where the deals are done is because I was my last role at the company, I was a vice president, head of partnerships, and I was always invited to these special rooms where deals were getting done and like, you know, elite people are getting invited into separate spaces. And so I said, all we need is access to information. So I created my own room 2 years ago called the room where the deals are done. And I would bring in my friends that were corporate executives that were VP level and above at other institutions that could help you with business funding, credit repair, like different things you need financial wise. As a new entrepreneur. So I married the two in the room where the deals are done.
Okay, got you. So you experienced that in Wall Street. You saw that they work together, they network together, they bring their resources together. And you're like, this is what's missing
in different closed room segment.
Yeah, but would you agree that it happens in intimate spaces? I think a lot of times we can get like so excited about big numbers. But would you agree or disagree that major moves happen in intimate spaces and in smaller rooms?
I do. So what I mean by that is like you can go somewhere, right? But it's who you're meeting when you go to these places. You can go somewhere there's 1,000 people, but if you can meet that one or two people that can change your life, right? And then there's a lot of the times those intimate rooms, people are more freely to talk about what's happening because it's a smaller space, right? And so I do think intimate settings do make for, like I say, easier way to network or get to the next opportunity. Even at my event or any event, when you pay the VIP, it's not that many people in VIP.
That's right.
Right? And so you're in
there. That's the only way to go, by the way.
That's the only way to go.
That's the only way to go.
That's in the book
VIP.
too. I read about, VIP.
And I didn't even read the book yet. I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, because you think about those people in there paying the same amount of money you're paying to be in that space, right? And so sometimes they can help you get to the next level.
That's right.
So I tell people, pay for where you see yourself and pay the extra money to be in these rooms with the people that can potentially help you.
Yeah, I love that. And you're absolutely right. Speaking of connections and friends and people that pull the best out of you, right? You said your friend Yandy Smith Harris, she asked you 3 words, and it was, what was your fee? And that question changed the trajectory of your life. So you're working on Wall Street at this time, or were you contemplating making the change at this time? Yeah,
I was working on Wall Street, and going back to ET, he calls me and he says, hey, Nichole, I'm doing this conference. So I mentored his kids.
Okay.
In financials, him and his kids about estate planning and stuff like that so that they can build for the future. And he said, I'm building this conference. My daughter loves you, and we want to get some more powerful women at the conference. So similar to how Pastor Vincent Campbell called me, ET called me too.
Same situation.
Yeah, and my husband's, I was like, what? I don't do conferences. My husband's like, if they're calling you for it, you do it. I was like, okay.
Right.
So he said, can you give me some give me 3 powerful women. So I reached out to 3 women that I knew that were multimillionaires, have influence, and I said, hey, my friend Dr. Eric Thomas is doing a conference, looking for speakers, what's your fee? And so, and ET, what I love about him is he pays you what your fee is. He don't try to haggle. He's like, if you tell me your fee is this, I'm going to pay that. Not saying, can I get a discount? So I said, what's your fee? Because ET's going to pay it. So all 3 of the women gave me their fees. Yandy said, well, what's your fee? And out of all 3 of them, I was closest to her. So I was like, well, no, I'm going to pay, you're going to get paid what you charge. She said, if I get $1,
what do you get?
You get a percentage of that, because I wouldn't have had this opportunity if it wasn't for you.
I love that.
And I've been connecting people for 20 plus years and getting them so many opportunities. I never got $1. And I've gotten people millions, and never got $1. I never expected it, because I'm a servant leader. So if I can help you, I will help you. And I had the full-time job, so on Wall Street, to be specific. So I never looked for anything. I just wanted to help and connect. But then I'm like, this is my God-given talent, because people are always calling me, asking me for connections. So I'm like, well, then I said, well, Yandy, what do people charge? And so she was telling me, like, you can charge 5%, 10%, 15, 20%, depending on, what the deal is and what you want to do. But you know what that does? That makes me want to continue to push her out there when people ask me for people, right? Because she thought enough of me to give me something back. So anytime somebody says, hey, you looking for speakers, I'm going to say, well, do you want to book Yandy? Because I know that she does good business and says, what's your fee? So.
Wow. And so from that conversation going forward, did it shift now how you handle, right? Those conversations. And so it's like, hey, I'll recommend you. And now you're upfront that it's going to be a percentage.
This is my connection for you.
I love that. Yeah. This is a conversation I was having recently with another very powerful woman that is a connector as well, and is very accustomed to connecting people. And typically there is no additional fee or anything like that. But there's nothing wrong with there being a fee. Did you have to have a little mindset shift at all? Or was it just like, say less, bet, I'm charging from that?
Say less, bet. It was the New York PR, say less. I'm like, I should have been doing this. Like, well, I've got people with millions of dollars and never received anything. So how I say it is, I can connect you to this. My fee is this up front. That's what I say. And then I tell people, when you identify your gift and you're good at something, there's no problem with charging that too for your services. When people call you for things and you've been doing it for free for so long, they're always going to call you to do it. But now you say, I would love to help you with that. My fee is X, Y, and Z. You determine the price of what your time is. Now I tell people 90% will say no because you've been doing it for free. But that 10% will value your time and pay you what you're asking for. So
listen, honor the shift.
Honor the shift.
Honor the shift. When God is shifting you, honor the shift in your life when he is doing just that. So we're going to go with the 10%. We're going to go with the goers.
You go with the 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever you feel is worth your fee for.
No, of people. You said like some of them
yes, 10%. Yeah, exactly. We're going to go with the ones that will honor you. Because you know what? I tell people, when the people say no, sometimes it hurts our feelings. They're like, no. However, that's your time you get back. And time is the most valuable thing that we cannot replace with, with money. So when they say no, it's like, okay, well, I get my time back. I don't have to work on that.
So you held your first event, right? The room where the deals go down, honey, where they happen, here in Atlanta. And it was in 2024. And both the current and former mayor shows up to your event. That's not a small thing for a new brand launch, a new brand agency. Like, kudos to you for that. How did that happen? And what did it tell you? Like, what did it tell you? What happened? Give us the tea on all that. And what were you actually hoping to build in that moment?
Yeah, so I love that question. So God, it was all God. And when I mentioned earlier in the show, I said that my husband found the church and we got baptized. I wasn't, I'll give y'all a little bit of tea here. Yeah. I wasn't a strong believer in God my whole life. I went to church, I went to Bible study, I did all the things, but I always had 2 questions. How do you believe in something you can't see? And why do bad things happen to good people? And every time I asked those 2 questions, no one would ever answer me. They could never give me an answer. They just said, oh, I know God is real. And it wasn't until my husband found Pastor Campbell's church, the Faith Center, and we got baptized, I had a whole awakening. And I started to hear God, which is crazy because I'm like, I never heard him in my life until I got baptized. And I would hear God at 2:30 to 4 a.m. every night. And it would get on my husband's nerves because I would wake up and he would talk to me and I would be writing in my notepad on my phone, like the notes on your phone. Yes. He says, I need you to build a room with your connections. And your connections are corporate executives at a VP level and above. Your connections are Atlanta's elite. Your connections are successful entrepreneurs. Like he would just tell me like to build this room. I was new to Atlanta. I was on Wall Street in New York. I was in Atlanta maybe 2 years at this point. And I'm like, God, what are you talking about? He's like, I need you to create this room called the Room Where the Deals Are Done. And my husband gave me the name, the Master Connector Agency, because I was always connecting people. So I had the business name, but I didn't know what to do with it. And God said, you're going to create this room. You need to give people opportunities and access. And I'm like, I'm new to Atlanta. I don't know if anybody's going to show up. I don't know how this is going to work. And he said, reach out to your resources, reach out to people that you've helped in the past. And so the first event, I called Egypt, Sherrod, and Mike Jackson, who have been my friends. And I said, I'm doing this event. I called 4 people. I called Egypt, I called E.T., I called Yandy, and I called Angela Yee. And when I got off the phone with all 4 of them, I was almost in tears because I said, I'm launching this business. I don't know what I'm doing. God told me to
transparency.
The transparency. And every last person said, what do we got to do to support
yes.
you? Yeah. How do we support you? Where do we show up? And I was like, and it was because I did good business with them for years and never asked them for anything, never asked them for money, never asked them for a dime. I just always wanted to help them and support them and what they had going on. So when it was time for me to launch my business, they said, Nick, tell me where I gotta be. E.T. flew in, Angela Yee flew in, like they flew in to support me in my business. So when I did the first one, October 24th, I was like, okay, I'm gonna interview Egypt Sherrod. I'm gonna have a flyer. We're gonna do networking bingo so that people can go around and meet people in the room. And I asked the mayor, the current mayor, Andre Dickens, I said, I'm doing this thing in Atlanta. Can you come support me? Can you just show up and just show your face? He was like, sure, Nick. And I asked Kasim, I asked both of them to have, and they both came. They
all showed up.
They showed up. I had over 150 people in the room. The love in a new state, in a new city. And they said, Nichole, this room was so impactful. I had people that wanted to invest in people's businesses. I had corporate executives there. And I would tell people, just start. When God talks to you or you have that God-given talent, just start. I was new to this whole state. And my relationships were in New York and New Jersey. But here, 150 people showed up for a ticketed event.
Come on.
You know how it is to sell a ticket?
Yes.
150 people showed up and bought tickets, VIP, general admission, and they said, "Oh my God, when is the next one?"
Yes.
So I did the next one in November with Yandy, and then I did 2 last year with E.T. and then Angela Yee, and the next one's gonna be October 15th here in Atlanta.
Awesome.
But the room is literally changing people's lives. They are running into people that they have never met before.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And I love that you even mentioned the networking bingo, because here you are, Master Connector, right? God is highlighting something that came so natural to you, which I love, right? And you start to recognize the thing that I'm doing for free is a thing that is impacting my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That God is actually rewarding me for. And I just love when I hear stories like this, because sometimes we could overlook what just comes so natural to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't realize the value of what we're really carrying, right? And so here you are, you wake up to the value of what you have. You put a price on it. Thank you, Yandy.
Thank you, Yandy. Right, shout out to Yandy, shout out to E.T., shout out to Mr. Campbell, like everybody.
All of them. And so now you're teaching people how to network. Why network bingo? We're already at a networking event, right?
That's a great question.
Yeah, talk about that, because people don't know how to network, sis.
They don't.
Teach us.
So I was telling your team earlier, the top 3 networking tips that I give people that are so important. So the rest are in this book, y'all. Can I show the book?
Yes, get the book.
So get the book, get this book, because all the networking tips are in this book. I talk about how I made it out of Newark, New Jersey, all the way to Wall Street at 21, and the connections that I've made along the way. So everything is in this book, but I'm gonna give y'all 3 beneficial tips right now since we're on this podcast. The number one thing you need to do to network is lead with value. That is the most important thing. Every time I'm around somebody that's high profile, people come up to them asking them for something.
Right.
It never fails. No matter who I'm with, somebody will come up, they ask me for things. And like, I'm not even high profile yet. And so they come and ask for things like, how can you help me with this? I need help with that. You hear I'm in finance, can you help me with my financials? They always ask for stuff. They never lead with the value.
What they can bring.
What they can bring. And you have to think about it. The person that has a higher stature, they already have their friends and family asking them for things. So here we come as strangers that they don't even know us, and we have to stop what we're doing to help. Oh, and they say, can you mentor me? That's time, right? And so I tell people to lead with value. Every single person that I interviewed at my event, I helped them with something before I needed anything. So that's the first thing. That's going to set you apart from the 90% of people that are asking them for things. The second thing is following up. That is very important. When you're at networking events, people get business cards, exchange numbers, and they don't follow up.
So true.
You need to follow up within 24 to 48, 72 hours at the max. And at the follow-up, I start taking pictures with people so that they know who I am and say, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you at the Master Connector event. I would love to schedule a coffee, a Zoom, a lunch. I always try to get people to lunch or breakfast, because there's something about breaking bread with somebody that breaks down barriers. I talk about that in the book too. And the third thing, I always want to make this number 1, but it's number 3, is doing good business. doing good business is free marketing for yourself. When you do good business, your friends, they tell their friends and family about you. My makeup artist here in Atlanta, she does my makeup, she's on time, she has great pricing, she communicates well. When I go to celebrity events, they're like, who did your makeup? And now she's a celebrity makeup artist, just from doing my makeup.
I love it.
And so back to the network bingo, those are 3 tips that will help you, but the networking bingo is for the shy people, it's for people to get to know who's in the room. Because what I tell people at my events, there are corporate executives in there from Amazon, Coca-Cola, Delta, TikTok, but you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But when you're networking bingo, you can ask them who you are and what you do, right? Everybody knows who the celebrity is. Nobody knows who the mayor is. But if I'm walking past and I'm a VP at this Fortune 500 company, you don't know that.
Exactly.
So the networking bingo has different questions on there. Where are you from? Are you an entrepreneur? And you get to walk around, and then you win a prize. Whoever completes the bingo first. So it's a little game that we play.
I love that.
Yeah.
It helps the introverted people in the room.
Helps the introverted people in the room. And I tell introverted people, lead with a compliment.
Yes.
That always
break the ice.
Break the ice with a compliment. Oh my God, I love your hair. I love your shoes. I love your outfit. And that just breaks the ice.
Yeah.
Are you from around this area?
And I low key, like what we're doing right now, this is me. Like, what are you building right now? I love asking people just questions like, what do you have going on? Like, what are you building? And what do you need? That's one of the number one questions when I'm hosting networking events. I let people go around and I just like, cause it's usually in the room.
Yeah.
What people need is in the room. And so instead of it like coming off like you're just needy, like we just get that out the way.
Yeah.
Like it's just pretty cool. I love that you're doing that networking bingo. Have you ever thought about making it like into some official product or game or
no, I haven't
card
thought
game
about that.
or something like that? It's just so cool.
It is cool, right? And I don't even design it. Babs on my team, she designs it. She does all my program management.
Yeah.
But that might be good because she just made some spades cards.
Girl, you know everybody hosting an event these days, so it's like you just never know, like to get to know folks that are in the room. I think that is so awesome.
That's a great idea.
I love that you do that. You know, I think it's important. You talk about not everybody being able to afford the Delta Lounge or the Delta Lounge must have been like game changer for you. Is it?
So I would say Delta Lounge because like you get access to if you have a platinum Amex card.
Of course.
The membership just went up. When I first got it 10 years ago, I was paying $450.
Girl, yesterday's price is not today's
$900.
price.
I looked at my Amex bill. I was like, what is this $900? Oh my God, that's the yearly fee.
They ain't playing with us.
But I tell people, pay a little bit extra to be in certain rooms. Like you said, the VIP is the only way to go. The Delta Lounge.
Yeah.
And what about the Delta Lounge is a story in there. I was at Essence Fest a couple years ago, and I was in the Delta Lounge, and one of my friends, Jamal, said, Nichole just moved here from New Jersey. I want you to meet Cynthia in Egypt, Cynthia Bailey in Egypt Sherrod. Right. They were in the Delta Lounge. And the mayor was in there too, but I already knew Mayor Andre.
Right.
And so he introduced us. And what do? I lead with value. And I said, I'm new to Atlanta. What are you guys working on? What is something that you need for this year? Like, what is something I can help you with? And they both said they want to get more corporate deals, work with more corporations. I'm in corporate. So when we got back to Atlanta, what did? I followed up. Within 24 hours, I said it was a pleasure meeting you guys in the Delta Lounge. Would love to schedule a dinner with you and some of my friends that are in corporate. So I scheduled a dinner with Cynthia Bailey in Egypt, and then I invited Yandy, and then I invited my friends that were corporate in Mercedes-Benz and Coca-Cola, some local businesses here, and we went to dinner, and it became a thing. So now it's called the Boss Babes Dinner, and we meet almost quarterly.
Oh my
God. We have a whole group chat. Even Pickford's in there, like it grows, like women that are like doing their thing. Yeah. So you either have to be corporate VP level and higher or an entrepreneur that's out in the community doing certain things.
Yeah.
Dr. Contessa just joined. And it was just informal. I led with value, like how can we help you? I want you to meet more of my corporate friends. And now, like I said, we meet for dinner when Eva's on TV tonight.
I think that is so cool because isn't that like some of the things, if you can't, be in a Delta Lounge or you can't be in VIP or, you know what I mean? You may be in a different place financially in life, but what I want our listeners to get is just the service. It's the language, of the wealthy. There's the language of the poor and there's language of the wealthy. And wealthy lead with abundance. Wealthy lead with how can I serve? Exactly. And I think regardless of what room you're in, you can create an opportunity like that by just leading with service. And that is what allowed you to create this space more and more and more. And you're doing it over and over again.
Oh, thank you.
No, you just said you created a whole nother.
I know, the Boss Babes Dinner, I was like, this became a thing. Then
right.
The next day, I'm like, oh, okay.
It just happened because you're like, okay, again, master connector at work, right? So here you are helping them begin to figure out how they can structure themselves to align with corporations. Let's talk about it a little bit, because sometimes the entrepreneur is fighting for $50 when they could be getting $50,000 with partnering with the right corporation. What are some tips you can give some of the listeners when it comes to just being able to like level up in how we align or look higher, or sometimes they think it takes a different muscle?
Yeah, no, it's, well, one, make sure that you don't have a Gmail as your email. I tell you all the time, right? Because you think about it, it's like Nike.com, right? Coca-Cola.com. So make sure that your first email is a .com email. It's little things that we just don't know. You need a sponsorship deck to start. And so that's part of my business, the Master Connecting Agency. We help you get corporate sponsorships. When I launched my business, I was able to get Amazon and Puma to sponsor my 4-month-old business, and then Truist and Northwest Mutual. And how I did that is I had a sponsorship deck. The secret, and I'm only dropping this tea here because it's a big consultant thing, secret is you have to figure out what's important to the company.
Come on.
And align yourself to the company.
Yeah.
Align yourself to their goals. If you meet an executive at, I would say Walmart, right? You would say, what's your 2026 goals? What metrics are you trying to align to? What's your KPIs, key performance indicators? You listen to what they tell you, and you figure out how your business can help them and partner with them. So for me, when I partner with these major brands, I'm like, I'm building a room of Atlanta's elite. You want to be in this room because talent's in this room. They can get your products. You could be the bank of choice. Like, I'm showing them, like, I'm bringing this value to you.
Yes.
So you always want to, one, have a sponsorship deck. The sponsorship deck tells your story, who you are, what your company is, who you're servicing, who your clients are. Like, you tell the story in there, and you put in there the value to the major corporation. But the gem is understanding what the key goals and metrics are for that company and aligning your brand to that.
Yeah, and would you say that this is key to closing that racial wealth gap as well? You know, one of the things you set out to do in being this connector and leaving and seeing so much wealth accumulated generation after generation in Wall Street and coming, you know, to Atlanta to build out here. Would you say that, you know, what are some of the things to help close the wealth gap?
It's access to information. It's access to information. Like the company that I was with, we offered a free program to business entrepreneurs that were in business for 2 years and made 6 figures in that year. Free information on how to run your business the right way. People don't know about that, right? And so some of my friends that are high profile, I told them about this program. Yes, they're successful in business, but do you know how, are you operating at this $1 trillion level? Do you have your operations right? Are your systems right? And then they would put you with other entrepreneurs that were at your level in different rooms, right? So it's all about access to information. That's why I was so adamant about creating these rooms with people that people wouldn't automatically come across. You're not usually walking across the VP at Coca-Cola, right? But they're in this room that I'm creating. But the closing the racial wealth gap, again, is all about access to information from the credible right source, right? Because like you mentioned earlier, like we have ChatGPT, all these things that we don't know who's. So it has to be a credible, good source. So I always work with people that work at an actual financial institution if I'm doing anything with finances, right? It's like if you're going to get your hair and nails and you want to go to somebody that has, you know, the nail degree, different degrees to do it right, so.
I think that's critical. Did you come through some duds in Atlanta? Did you get a lot of like stuff that glistened, ain't quite gold, like
man, oh man. When I tell you, I've only been in business 11 months, and I've had to, within the first 3 months, I had to let go of somebody from my team. My team was only 5 people. I had to remove somebody because they weren't doing good business. I had to remove people from my community that's paid because they weren't doing good business. I've had people tell me they do this, and then when I find out they don't do that, like, it has been, I'm like, God, what is happening?
Where am I?
Where am I?
It's the jungle outside.
So every day I ask God for discernment.
Tigers and bears.
Every day I ask God for discernment. I'm a new business owner. I've only been in business 10 years.
And your reputation is everything.
And also, that's when you, oh my God, you hit the nail on the head. So because I am credible and people do business with me because of the brand that I've built and how I do business, when I recommend people,
the assumption is
that they do business like me.
Correct.
So I experienced that in Wall Street. Like, I was a VP, and like when the new analysts would come in and they wanted to meet my peers, I would introduce them, and then they'd be like, "Why'd you send this person to me, Nichole?
Oh Lord,
they don't do business like you, right?" Like, I experienced that in corporate, and then it's, even for now, like, I always want to see people win. I always want to connect people. If you say you need something, I can figure out in 10 seconds who I can connect you to get you where you need to go. But I can't do that for everybody. So I had to start doing more research, more due diligence, asking God for discernment, because I'm always going to.
You got to hire a PI on the team now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, somebody just asked
No
me to
real
be a speaker.
story, though.
Yeah, somebody just asked me to be a speaker at her event, and it wound up being a whole scam. Like, she hasn't paid her people.
Oh,
the lady
my
has interviewed, and
goodness.
I'm just like, and it was a red flag to me when she's like, I want to put your company on my page, and that was a red flag to me because I'm like, I worked hard to build this company. You want to put my company on your page? I'm not sponsoring. So
Right.
And so, like, she wanted to be, and I was jumping out to help her, and she reached out to me and asked me for 2 of my celebrity friends to be speakers as well. And I was going to call them, and my husband said, don't call them until you have vetted this. And I'm so glad
Thank
that
you,
he was,
Jesus, for the man of God of the
the
house.
man of God covering me, because I was going to use my relationship capital and my brand to reach out to them to help her get speakers that were celebrities at her event. And it's funny because she kept saying, it's going to happen. We're going to have 10,000 people, blah, blah, blah. The event was supposed to happen next week, and it says postponed. Because it's probably not happening.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to have the discernment and be like, okay, Nichole, before I just jump out there, use my relationships and the brands that I built, make sure that it's credible.
Yeah.
Are they doing business how we do business? So.
Yeah, I've had my share, CO Chicks 10 years, over 1,000
Well,
women.
clap it up for that. 10
has
years is a big deal.
It is a big, but
That's a
we're
big
still
deal.
here because of integrity, right? We're still here because we believe in doing good business.
Yes.
And so that is one of the things we have to talk about so often. Like, you have to be who you post to be.
Be who you post.
Be who
Exactly.
you post to be.
Let's put that on the shirt. Be who you supposed to be. Exactly.
Yeah, because and I get good marketing too, right? I understand good marketing and branding and aesthetic. I get all of that. But when you show up, is that coming into the room, right? And so authenticity is just super important. And I'm glad we had a second to even talk about that, because that is critical when you're networking and you're passing on information to different people. You want to make sure it's done right. You were the first in your family to graduate?
Yeah, to graduate college.
College, yeah.
I was the first one. So it's funny, in Jersey, I wasn't going to college. And my mom
What was you? What was you?
So I worked at the ShopRite, and all of my friends, we was outside hanging out.
So
and
you
I
were
was
for the
like-
street.
I was for the streets. I was in the streets. I was living my best life, thinking that was the best thing ever. And my mother was like, "You're getting out of here." And I'm like, "Where am I going?" Because nobody around here went anywhere. Like, a lot of my friends didn't go off to school. Like, I just didn't see it.
Right.
So she's like, she made me apply to all these colleges, and I was a part of Upward Bound that had a college tour, HBCU tour, and they took us on an HBCU tour, and I fell in love with the HBCUs, and that's how I wound up there. And when I say it was a rude awakening for me, because I knew nothing about the Dean's List, I knew nothing about college, and my friend who was in business school with me, they would put her name on a plaque. And I said, "Why is your name on the plaque? Or how is it up there?" She said, "Oh, I'm on the Dean's List." I'm like, "What is that?" Never heard of it.
Wow.
Because nobody in my family went to school.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, I just got to get A's and B's." And I knew I was smart, and that's why I got the 3.8.
Yes.
And the craziest part about that is the career service department. And I tell all of the young kids out there that are in college or graduating or just graduated college, if you're looking for a job, go to your career service department. That's where all the companies go to hire you. They know about all the jobs. So the career service lady comes to me in my junior year, and she goes, "You need an internship." And I said, "What is that?" Didn't know what that was either. I didn't know any of these things.
Yeah, it's just not familiar territory.
Not familiar. I thought I was going to be home in Jersey. We moved to
Yeah.
Vauxhall when I was in the 7th grade. So I thought I was going to be home at Vauxhall, working at the ShopRite, and I don't know what, just not going off to school.
Yes.
And so she said, "You need an internship." And I said, "What's that?" And she goes, "Will you work for free?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not doing that."
Take me back to the ShopRite.
Right, exactly. So at the time when I was in college, I was at Old Navy. And I was like, "Oh, I'm making $750." And I said, "I'm going to get to $783 in the next quarter." And I was the fastest cashier because I had the up north swag and I knew the numbers. And she goes, "Well, you're going to work for free." I was like, "I'm not working for free." So she somehow convinced me to intern at Nationwide in the HR department. And I remember I did it, and I walked into an office with a suit on. I've never done that. I'm walking into the mall, folding clothes, bringing up presents. And so it did something to my confidence, where I'm getting dressed up, going into an office with other corporate executives, and I just was like, wow, this is, even if though I was working for free. So what happened was, Wachovia Securities merged with Prudential in New York. And the people from New York did not want to come to Virginia. That's where I went to college. And so the career service lady came back to me and she said, "I want you to interview for this." I'm like, "What is it?" And she's like, "It's a brokerage operations specialist." I'm like, "What is that?"
Right.
She's like, "I don't know, just interview. I want you to get interview experience." Like, she kept pushing me into things, because what's also important, students out there, is your GPA.
Yeah.
We're taught to go to college. We're
Yeah.
not taught to get good grades.
Right.
We're just taught to go to college just to get into college.
Yeah, C's get degrees, right?
Right. But when corporations are trying to pick you for a job, they only go off your GPA.
Yeah.
So they're going to pick the top of the top of the bunch. So because I had the 3.8, she kept coming to me with opportunities because I was the top of my class in business. And my mom was the one that told me to major in business too, because I didn't know what I was going to major in.
Shout out to mom.
Yeah,
She
mom
just
was
knew.
like,
God spoke to her.
Spoke to her. She was like, I was like, what am I going to major in? She was like, you major in business. Everything's a business. So the career service lady says, interview for this thing. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. She don't know what it is. But she said, I want you to get corporate interview experience. I interviewed for the job. And when I graduated, Nationwide offered me a job for $30,000. And that was a lot of money back in 2000. Like, I just thought I was rich. And Wachovia Securities offered me the same job. But Wachovia Securities was paying $3,000 up front. So I said, I'm going to take this and figure out what this job is.
Up front,
yeah.
Like before I check in,
Before I sign in bonus. And so I said, I'm going to take this $3,000 up front. And so when I got my first check, it had a comma in it. I had never seen a comma in my check at 17. I was like, what is it? I was like, Mom, there's a comma in my check. You want half of this? And she was like, no, baby, you keep it. I was just like, never seen it. And so the job, which was a brokerage operations specialist, was you were in trade support for the equity trading desk. So I was the broker between the equity trading desk and the back office. And I would have to
look at God.
Look at God.
That's preparation for Wall Street right there.
That's Wall Street, yeah.
Period.
And I was like, what is a brokerage operations specialist? And I did so well at that. Was going to grad school that night. And they promoted me. I learned equities, and I learned bonds, and I learned options.
Wow.
I learned all the different trading instruments. And then JP Morgan. That's how I got to JP Morgan.
Yeah.
That background and my classmate. But
wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. And I just love that. They say success leaves clues, right? And so when you're like paying attention to just those breadcrumbs, like, wow, God was setting you up for real. What does trading life look like now, right? Now that you're full-time in business, I know you're not out here doing a whole bunch of financial literacy and all of those things. But what does your life, your financial life, the importance of it, and maybe what you teach others? Do you do any type of, are you into trading at all?
Not at all.
You left it all?
I left it all. I do networking and this. I don't do none of the trading. I don't even look at it. And I know that was my career.
But it is what it is. I'm just curious.
My husband, it's funny because my husband's an option trader, so he does all the trading now. But me, I don't even.
So you don't even have to, but you just know that your money's going to grow.
Yeah, for sure. I do invest in, yes, I have investments, but I don't look at it. Like,
it's not like every day trying to look. That's like my husband too. He's all into finances and trading and all the good things. And
when you
so
spoke about God leaving clues, I have to just say this. I feel it's on my heart to say this. So I told you that I got to know Christ about 4 years ago, getting baptized at the church. I was walking, I want to say like 2 months ago, and I got so emotional because I said, God, you kept me when I never gave you an ounce of thanks, not even a little, because I didn't believe. And so I was walking, I'm like, you took this girl out of Newark, New Jersey to put me into a university to end up on Wall Street at 21 years old, travel to 46 countries, every continent except Antarctica, 50 states. Like, I had lived an amazing life, and I never once said, thank you, God. Never once, because I didn't believe. And it wasn't until, like I said, a couple months ago, I was like, God, oh my God, you gave me an abundant life. And now all I do is talk about God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how it would be, because entrepreneur is a faith walk. At the end of the day,
we start from zero every day.
Every day. And you never know where your next check is coming from. You never know where your next client is coming from. Every day it's a faith walk. But I knew God had to, because I think I glorify being a Wall Street executive, which is a big deal for a Black woman, right?
It is.
Being a vice president at a Fortune 500 company, those are big deals. But no, nothing compares to what God is calling a child of God.
Yeah.
And this business, the Master Connected
To be able to hear from him. You said you never heard.
I never heard
from God until being baptized. So many times, how many believers walking around and feel lost because they just don't have an ear to hear.
Don't have an ear. And I hear from him, and I'm like, okay, God. And like I said, and now everything is thanks.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
It really is. Like one of our mentors, he's like, you know, the Daniel fast is not always the fast that God selects for you. You know what I mean? He said a lot of us pick the Daniel fast because we won't eat.
Yeah, because I do water.
He said, how come the Moses fast ain't so popular?
Right.
How come the Jesus fast ain't so popular?
That's true.
He was kind of just making light of how so many believers love to do a Daniel fast. But fasting, I say all that to say fasting is a lifestyle for believers in business. And that's one of the things we talk about, even in the last conversation, like just how fasting played a part in that awareness and just being being able to hear from God very clearly, because there's a lot of noise out here.
It is.
There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people giving information. There's a lot of, and you talk about it, right? Information and connections are important, but if you don't have discernment for how to utilize it or how to implement it, or then you might as well not have come across the information in the first place.
I shared with you an opportunity that came that's on a national network earlier, right? And when they called me, I said, is this you, God, or the devil? And the fact that I had to ask, is this you, God, or the devil? It was like, obviously that's the answer right there. And it's hard to turn down an opportunity that could blow my brand up and be on national TV, but it has to be the right brand. At what cost? Because I have to align my brand to what aligns with me.
And the kingdom. And
the kingdom, exactly. So you're right, but I was like, God, is this you or the devil? Like, I had to ask him. And then what it told me was, I passed that test because I declined it. So something bigger is coming. Because
that's right.
That's something
bigger, better, that aligns, won't destroy your family, won't destroy your relationships.
Right. Yeah. Tarnish my brand.
Tarnish your brand, like all of those things. It really does matter. It really does matter. All right, I got some rapid fire questions here. I'm enjoying this conversation. Oh my goodness, so rich, so good. Okay. Here we go. Delta Lounge. I know you love your Delta Lounge, child, but Delta Lounge or a private dinner? Where does the best deal actually get made?
A private dinner.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, you've been to 46 countries. Best room you ever walked into professionally and then personally?
Ooh. So the best room I ever walked into professionally, recently I was at an event with Tyler Perry and Robert Smith, and I got to ask Tyler Perry a question about being my next interviewee for my In the Room. So cross your fingers, glad you hear us.
Yes, do it, Lord.
Yes,
do it, Lord. Before this airs, we're going to be like, look, it happened.
Look, it happened. And then personally, it's church.
Oh, wow.
Getting baptized changed my life.
100%. LinkedIn or Instagram, where does the business happen in 2026?
The money resides on LinkedIn.
Say it again.
The money resides on LinkedIn.
That's where the decision makers are.
That's where the corporate executives are. I remember going to an event and I invited two of my friends that are high profile, I won't say their names, and I brought them to a room of investors at this top banking institution. And when they were asking for the information, I said, what's your LinkedIn? And they didn't have a LinkedIn. They kept saying, you want my Instagram? And they're like, no, your LinkedIn.
Yeah, because we're not on Instagram, honey.
And so when they went to do their LinkedIn, they had 20,000 requests because the people were trying to partner with them for what they were doing, but they kept offering their Instagram. So I tell people the money resides on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram more. What's crazy is my husband asked me the other day, he said, you're not posting as much on LinkedIn, and you know that's where the money is. But I'm so brainwashed for corporate because you have to come with the correct.
It's a different way to post on LinkedIn.
You can't just be on there saying, I'm brushing my teeth this morning.
Right, no, it's not for that.
Got to talk about business. Yeah,
it is.
So come correct on LinkedIn, but that's where the money resides.
Yes, finish this. The version of me that gave her network away for free would be blank if she could see me now. The version of me that gave her network away for free would be blank.
Proud. She would be proud of me. Yeah,
if she could see me now. That's so beautiful. And we are proud of you. Like, I'm glad, because that's going to like really inspire someone else to take inventory. Because like I said, a lot of times women are giving it away for free. A lot of believers are giving away their products and services for free because they feel like that is their service. And I'm like, God did not put you in business to be broke. And those things that you keep giving away for free and calling it service, like we need to, you know, there has to be like a mindset shift.
And I tell people, once you identify what your God-given talent is, and one of the key ways to do that is what people call you for. People were always calling me for connections. Like I said, Pastor Campbell, easy call me, hey, can you connect me to this person? Can you bring this person to my thing? That's why I have the Master Connector Agency. But your gift is what people call you for that you like doing. So people can call you all the time. They can call me and say, hey, can you help me with my financials or and I'm like, oh, I don't love doing it. That was my career for forever.
Yeah, you said, forget that. Shut
I'm like,
the
I don't
door.
like doing that. I can do it.
You're right.
I'm gifted at it, but I love helping people and connecting people to opportunities. So, and I'm going to get you, you're going to network at the elite level. So I'm allowed to charge elite prices.
Come on.
But don't be scared to say, I would love to help you with that. My fee is this. Do not be scared to say that. And also I want to leave you with just start. I meet so many amazing entrepreneurs that are sitting on gold mines of ideas and they never start. I don't have this, I don't have a team, I don't have a, you have to start. Every day, just start. God told me to come to Atlanta, be new here, and build a room and charge a premium price to be in my room, and 150 people showed up, including the mayor. So if I never started, I wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah.
Just start. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was absolutely amazing. And I'm just looking forward to what God's going to do in your life because of your obedience. You guys make sure you get the book, The Master Connector. Make sure you get that book. Thank you so much, Nichole, for being here.
Thank you for
God
having
bless you,
me.
sis.